starting with a much longer tail than normal because I'm going to use this tail to add a seam to this tube. So with the long tail, I'm starting, and I will make a chain, and for this demonstration I'll make a chain of 20. I've made my chain of 20, leaving a long tail. I'm joining in the first chain, making sure the chain doesn't get twisted. Slip stitch in the first chain. And we now have a chain of 20 that's joined. For the first round, the beginning linked double crochet starts with chain 2, insert in the first chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert in the same chain that we just joined in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And there you have the first linked double crochet of the round. Continuing, insert under the the horizontal bar, insert into the next chain. Let me make sure that is the next chain. It is. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and continue on around the entire circle. I have completed 20 stitches, and to finish the round I slip stitch in the top of the first linked double crochet. Now here's how we're going to deal with the fact that there's no horizontal bar that bridges this gap here. First thing I'll do is remove the hook from the live loop, put a stitch marker in it so that I don't lose the live loop. Then I take a yarn needle, I take the yarn tail, thread it through the yarn needle, and I am going to work a bar that bridges the gap between these two bars. So I will weave the yarn kind of in the middle of, in the middle of the thickness of the stitches until it gets up to the correct height for the bar. Okay. Then I go under the first vertical bar from top to bottom, just under the bar itself. Then I go under the vertical bar of the last stitch from top to bottom, just under the bar itself, not through the fabric. And I try to achieve the same width as all the other bars. Then I poke the needle through the entire piece to the back, and there we have joined the round, and the seam is almost invisible. Then we just remove the needle from the yarn, let it drape, let it drop down, start the next round by removing the stitch marker, do the same thing to start the next round. Chain 2, insert in the first chain made, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert the hook in the same joining stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and finish the double crochet. So I will work around till we get back to the beginning, and I'll show you how we finish. Okay, I have worked 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds, and I have finished the 4th round all except for the technique using the tail. Let me show you again one more time how that works. Our target is to come up right in there. So we need to move, we need to weave this end in until we get up to approximately that location, and then come from behind. I'm too far down. There we go. Come from behind, insert from top to bottom just under the bar, and then move over here, insert from top to bottom under the bar of the last stitch, give the same amount of tension that we had on the other bars, and then just poke the needle right through to the back of the fabric again. And there you have it. Linked double crochet stitches in a tube. Hardly visible at all. The seam is hardly visible at all. And this tail, one would have to calculate approximately how much tail one would need. If you're working on a hat, you would want a tail that's as long as from the top of the hat to the bottom of the hat. If you're working on a cowl, same thing. Now, why would you want to use this instead of just working in a spiral? Working in a spiral is a very nice thing to do, especially if you're using self-striping yarn. But if you want to make stripes and you don't want to have a jog in your stripes, you would say work 3 or 4 rows in one color, and then on the very last yarn over and pull through, you could introduce a new color here. Okay, let's introduce a new color here. And remember that on the new color, we're going to be also needing a long tail. So give yourself plenty of tail. And start the next round. 1, 2, and continue on with your tube in the same method. Now, before we continue on finishing this white round, we need to identify these tails here and cinch these things down and tie them together so that we don't get gaps in the stitches. So I have found the working yarn. This one is the tail. This is the working yarn of the gold and the tail of the white, and I'm just tying them in a knot for proper tension when I get to the last part of this round. So now, to finish the round, I slip stitch in the first double crochet, now I find the tail of the white yarn, thread it through the yarn needle, and use it to accomplish the bridge. So I need the yarn to come from behind and go top to bottom under that horizontal bar on the first stitch, and then top to bottom under the horizontal bar on the last stitch. Adjust the tension, poke the needle back to the back of the fabric, fiddly fiddly, and now I have completed that round. And there we have a couple more rounds of the white. And you could continue on with this method. You could make a little, you could stitch this yarn, this seam down here together, make a row of regular double crochet, put a drawstring through it. You could make yourself a little bit longer pouch for holding your earbuds.